Episode 113. My timing is a little off. Today we're talking about how to Zillow proof your business. We're going to get started right now.
Zillow.
Welcome to the only real estate podcast worth listening to with your hosts Nick Good, Matt Kelderman, and Brian Force. Combined, they have 26 years of experience and have sold over 1,500 homes. Join them each week as they bring you everything you need to know about real estate. And now, here are your hosts, Nick, Matt, and Brian.
All right, episode 113. Today we are talking about how to Zillow proof your business. Nick is here today, but he's streaming in remotely, so I'm handling the intros. And in that vein, what do we do next? Make sure, before we get started, you head over to the only real estate group worth being a part of over on Facebook. We're sharing lots of good content over there all day, every day. It's a good thought collective on how to grow your real estate business. And hey, after that, check us out on iTunes, the only real estate podcast worth listening to, and give us a little 5-star review if you don't mind. And before we get started, we would definitely love to give a shout out to our wonderful sponsors over at Sphere Rocket VA. That's Justin Nelson's company. If you're looking to leverage more of the day-to-day out of your business and you want to do it virtually and you want to do it cost effectively, check out Sphere Rocket VA. We legit just made an offer to another VA today to continue to build our support staff. So that's super, super huge for us. And then right after you leave there, check out mortgagemikeoftexas.com. That is Michael DeBacker with USA Mortgage. He's our preferred guy. He works on pretty much all of our deals and Nick's as well and kicks super, super amounts of butt for us. So that's mortgagemikeoftexas.com. Nick, how did I do?
I mean, you turned your radio voice on for that one. I don't know if I've heard that voice before.
Right.
I hear it every once in a while. He'll just get really loud in the office, and you'll be like, shit, what is Brian talking about 3 rooms away?
Well, I think you need to handle every advertisement and sponsor from now on.
Oh, man.
Mortgage Mike of Texas.
Mortgage Mike in a world.
Now I feel like a guest that I get to stream in.
I know. So. I feel so weird. There feels like this cognitive dissonance between us. There's like this weird delay and stuff. It's anyway.
Well, and you guys only have one more show with me, and then I'm gone for 2 shows.
No. I feel
like
I'm so much more committed to this
Bobby
podcast than
Newport.
you guys.
Bobby Newport.
Well, let's talk about today. Like, you know, the title that we came up with in this show, right, is based on episode, I think, 111. So this 111.
Yeah.
Since I was last week just enjoying the heck out of SeaWorld.
Nice.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if SeaWorld and nice go together.
I saw that you guys had a large group of humans that were all trotting around together too. I am not a fan of the large group vacations.
Bro.
I'm not going to do what you want to do on vacation. I'm going to eject from 90% of the group activities. So I just would rather go with a small amount of people.
Yeah. This one, it wasn't bad. Like, here's what I'll say. The way we do SeaWorld is that they no longer offer a private tour, but we still have a connection with a private tour. So we get in before everyone else gets in, and we get to enjoy all the behind the scenes stuff for 2 hours.
Sure.
Then I'm ready to bounce instead of stay the whole rest of the freaking day.
You're like, that is SeaWorld for me.
Yeah, because there's no new attractions. I think it's the same thing since 1987, whenever they
they've been playing the hits for a while.
Yeah. So, but the topic today, you know, how to Zillow proof your business, was after episode 111, where the guest that we had on, he was sharing that's how all Zillow has to do is flip the switch and could put out a large amount. You know, he said, you know, assuming that it went full tilt, 97% of the industry, right? That's just assuming that it just went completely wiped out, which, you know, Brian and I, you know, it's not going to go 97%, by the way. Sure. I mean, that's just assuming that everyone just
falls on their face and
that's a hyperbolic extreme.
Yeah.
Yes.
Got to do this.
But what I was thinking about is, and Brian listened to it today, is that on a podcast called How I Built This, they had Rich Barton on, the founder of Zillow.
Yep.
And he was sharing his story, right? He shared a story of how, he was with Microsoft, and he built out Expedia, and then that sold. And how, the whole Zillow portion came about, the company came about not to disrupt really the real estate industry. He was frustrated because in 2005, I think it was, him and his business partner, who was a partner at Expedia, they were both looking at houses at the same time, right? And he got frustrated with that experience because at that time there was no no websites just really having all the information out there. And he said that he would just have to rely on these agents. And he used an analogy. It's like being in a dark room with a flashlight. Yeah. Right. And he said, what's even worse is the flashlight is being held, and you have to by a real estate agent, you have to tell the real estate agent where to shine the light. Right. So it was just built out of frustration. And so, we now know what Zillow has become today, but there's still an opportunity for all of us to essentially, quote unquote, Zillow proof our business.
I'm super excited to talk about that specifically. Yes, there are. I didn't mean to cut you off. I want to also interject, I hate saying this because we've just been trained in the real estate industry to hate Zillow. Rich Barton seems like the nicest man on earth.
Right.
He just seems like the nicest dude. And I know it's taboo to say, but I thoroughly enjoyed listening to that podcast.
Yes. Yeah. And honestly, it didn't make me have that feeling of hating Zillow at the end of the podcast. He's not trying to do what he did to the travel agency world. At least that's what he said on the podcast, right? At least how I read into it.
Sure.
And something that was interesting enough from that show was that everything that he built, it was built in the mind of what the consumers want. He's like, look, if we built what the consumers want, all the pieces will fall together.
Sure.
And that's something as real estate agents where I see way too many times. In fact, by the way, way too many times, and I want to share this out. I'm doing a challenge with our good friend Kyle Draper.
Oh, nice.
Right.
Okay.
So I'm
what are we going to beat Kyle Draper at?
Yeah, I need that. So this is a non-sponsored ad, but this is an ad for you to go follow me on TikTok right now.
What's your handle?
What's your handle? My handle is, it's Nick Good Real Estate. So Nick Good Real Estate, go follow me on TikTok right now. In fact, I just did a TikTok today about how real estate agents, we need to do better, right? Because I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, and he was calling up about something else, but naturally the number one question was, well, how's the real estate business?
Yeah.
Right. And I was like, well, inventory's low, multiple offers, blah, blah, blah. He's like, I know a lot of real estate agent friends, and they don't make shit. They don't do shit. And I'm like, well, that's because they're not treating it like a true career and business. But he's like, I understand the need for a real estate agent to maybe sell my home. But he's like, I don't really understand the need, and I don't get the need to have a built-in fee to have a buyer, to have an agent represent me on the buyer side. All the information's there. He's right? He's like,
isn't it funny how things come full circle though? Because wasn't it only the mid '90s that we even started paying buyers agents in the first place? I might be way off of my timeline there, but it used to be listings agents made all 6%, and they represented both sides on every transaction. Am I fucking crazy right now? Am I the only person that remembers that this used to be a thing in real estate?
My old school real estate knowledge is lacking. In 1996, I was coming off another Cowboys Super Bowl victory, so
that took up the whole year. You were just so pumped. Couldn't get anything else done.
Yeah, and look, you may be right on that. I'm not. I don't keep track of what happened in 1996. I was 13. I was worried about other things. But I was like, look, that's the problem in the real estate industry where we're like, oh, I got in real estate to be my own boss, to unlimited time freedom, blah, blah, blah. And I really like looking at houses. And our job in my opinion, our job is not to find you your dream home, right? You're going to go do your due diligence, locate the house, probably the area, the location you want to be in. And I said, we're here to help you navigate those pitfalls, those landmines, and hopefully, when you go to resell it in 7 to 10 years, we've helped show you that potentially there's going to be some good equity in it, right? He's like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. And so with Rich, on the podcast, How I Built This, he just said he was wanting to build something to put more information in the hands of consumers, right? And Brian, you may have resonated with this at the beginning of that show. The host Guy, I don't remember his last name.
I can't. I like his voice. Can't remember.
Yeah, great voice, right? But he mentioned there's this. It's this. I don't know how you would call it, but he's basically saying that there was a study, or that the person who has more information basically is the winner of. Yeah, and I'm butchering this, right? But it was saying that
essentially that there was some term he used for it, but essentially that the seller always has an advantage because they have they have more information about the product.
Correct, right? Yes, exactly. I knew you would remember that better. So more information about the product, and he said in the real estate industry, it's just like in car sales, right? You know more about the car, you know more about the maintenance history, and that's how Carfax came about. I don't know where. There we go. How Carfax came about. So buyer brokerage.
Jesse found a buyer brokerage right there. Early 90s. I see it in the second line.
See, I remember that shit. I was 5. I was like, this is a big deal, guys.
Because you knew at 5 years old, you're like, you know what? I want to become a realtor. I really like looking at houses.
Yeah.
Controlling my own hours.
But he was saying, and Rich built this because he was saying that, he wanted to really put it in the hands of consumers. What do consumers want if you own a home? You really want to know your home value.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's how it came about, and it grew. But they have over 300 million unique visitors going to their website every single day.
That is a ridiculous number.
It's so many.
Actually, we should all listen to that episode, because we would probably want to go back and figure out how to rebrand ourselves with made up words.
That's one of the big takeaways that I got from that was how much stock they put into the branding of the companies. Like it was just the little thing about Expedia where it's like, well, I would only ever use a 2-syllable word again for a company name. It's just too mouthy. And I was like, that actually makes so much sense, dude. That's why Glassdoor, which he also co-founded, and Zillow are 2 syllables.
But he also
made so much sense. And the high scoring Scrabble letters.
Yes, high scoring Scrabble letters.
That was super good.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, we would all probably want to go back and maybe pay a naming company or branding company to come up with some name that then we can control. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So he did say that if you name your own word, you can write the story on it, whatever you want that story to be. Right. Yeah. And so the idea came about after episode 111, where, up to 97% of agents could be wiped out. How do we Zillow proof our business? How do we stay relevant? Because even Guy said in the podcast, he's like, look, there's still some really, really great travel agents that do really well, even with everything that's out there.
Yes. Right.
And so, we had, you, myself, and Matt brainstorm for days, right? Days on how to Zillow proof our business.
Sure. Entire days, but yes,
entire days, right? Well, and the first thing that came up was something that, look, it's not about Legion will come down to it, but the one thing that came up that we felt was a strong advantage to agents to have on their side to really help continue to build their business, for them to stay relevant, and maybe not go out of business if Zillow were to ever do anything, right? Is these new platforms that are coming alive.
Sure.
Right.
And And I think, okay, so I want to because before we get into that, I want to frame the conversation so that I think it's a little bit more valuable, because I think the last thing that I picked up from that particular podcast, which I think was the most important, is that we tend to view Zillow as this big boogeyman because it's big data. We like sexy words like big data. Like big data knows it's going to get us, dude. Socialism and big data.
Big business can take everybody over. Big pharma.
Exactly. Just like the military industrial complex is going to kill us all. We don't know what we're saying half the time. We love talking about that stuff, though. Anyway, we love to hate on Zillow, and one of the things that I really took away from that podcast is that it's a very simple business model. It's a very complicated system that they have built, but the business model was founded on very simple principles. It was access to information that wasn't publicly available, that a vast majority of people in this country would need at some point in their lives. And that was all it was, right? And then, of course, it morphed into something else. And they talked specifically about Zillow offers. They talked specifically about Zillow buying homes and their intentions and what they did with them. And Rich freely said on the podcast, look, we are not cheaper than hiring a real estate agent. We charge 5 to 7%, okay? And we are going to resell your home afterwards. He just openly admitted that. They're not... Zillow's not the boogeyman in that regard, right? You're not better off selling your home to Zillow than you are selling with a real estate agent. Now, the only way that you would be is it's the convenience factor, and this is what he promoted. He's like, look, some people just have a certain predisposition to convenience over X, Y, and Z, and they don't want people.
I am some people.
I was going to say, if Kelderman could click a button and just get it done, he's one of those guys, right? And he also freely admitted what one of the largest obstacles they need to overcome is that while they have a lot of AI working behind the scenes and machine learning every day to make sure that their values are getting closer to being accurate, it is still just a machine. It is not a professional opinion. And they go off of those machines when they make you the offer price. That they're not cheaper than listing with a real estate agent. You will not save money by selling to Zillow, and that they will resell your house, which in and of itself inherently tells you that if they could go resell it and make a profit, your house is probably worth a little bit more than they're offering you, right? They're not trying to replace the real estate agent. They're trying to offer a convenient solution for a certain demographic of people. And now, whether or not that changes in the future, I don't know. But I really wanted to mention that because I think that when we start to have this conversation about we're going to kind of talk about 3 different avenues today to Zillow proof your business. I think especially when it comes to the platforms avenue, it's very important to understand that vertical integration and convenience have become so important to the consumer, just in every industry that is used by so many people nationwide. That's the focus, not proprietary information, which is what real estate agents were so afraid of with Zillow. Like, well, if they just advertise all the sales prices, we'll go out of business. It doesn't work like that. That's not really what consumers care about. And so anyway, I wanted to mention that before we get off on the platforms conversation, because
I agree. Yeah,
Zillow's just not cheaper than anybody. They're not trying to undercut you.
Well, and there was no mention on there that, one, they wanted to flip into a brokerage. Could they? Absolutely. Sure. But there was no mention that that's not their game plan right now. And what I found interesting is that he still has yet to truly run a profitable year-over-year business, right?
Yeah, he's had some quarters. To run a data company like that. Yeah, that was one of the other things that stood out to me. Yeah.
Yeah. So they haven't even run a profitable business yet which is interesting. I mean, if we could all just go public and play with
yeah, I know, right?
with Wall Street money.
We just get exactly, dude. It's easy to Uber just not profitable either. A lot of companies that are public that you think are behemoths.
I was listening to
another money.
Yeah, I was listening to another one on that same one. The guy that built diapers.com. He was never profitable. He built that to lose money.
Really?
Yeah.
He sold it.
And well, he had to. He was forced. The mafia. He was forced into Amazon bought him, and he actually had $100 million higher offer, but Amazon still threatened him enough that he still sold it out to Amazon.
Build a fucking company that you turn down an offer that's $100 million higher than the one you take, and your company doesn't make money. We're in the wrong business, boys.
or we need to learn how to get it big enough or to sell the vision, right? Because it's they talked about the vision, right? It's all about the vision, and this is where I am seeing more and more of this industry going, which is this platform style model to help agents grow their business. To streamline it, to help cut costs, because if just like myself, I'm not the best business person, right? I know how to build the sales machine aspect. I put smarter people around me to help keep me profitable, but even then we could do a lot better job. And so these platforms that are coming out, like you're part of one, Brian. In fact, let's talk about that. You and Matt are a part of a platform organization that was in the Keller Williams world is called Expansion, but it's now moving into more of a platform style model.
Sure. I mean, Expansion is, this is the whole genesis of the entire, I think, shift in the industry right now. Is I have been saying for a long time, even before we were a part of an expansion organization, that expansion teams were essentially going to take over the industry, and not in a bad way. Like we always talk about take over the industry like it's Jurassic Park and there's a bunch of T-Rexes just coming just to destroy everybody. Like, no, it's providing value on a larger scale for more people, right? In the expansion world, it's very, very simple, right? It is a shared pool of resources that stretch far beyond geographically where you're located and helps you to run a more efficient business in a number of ways, right? From a cost perspective, cost and profitability perspective too, but also from a leadership perspective, a growth perspective, right? An intellectual perspective, right? We tend to have this thing, and I will tell you, this is one of the larger, not one of the more regular conversations I think that we have when we're actually partnering with other business people and bringing them into our expansion hood is, some of the challenges we have to overcome with people that are relatively accomplished are, getting a little bit of that ego out of the way. They know how to do things. They do things a specific way. And it's this, and that's really great. And your clients really care at the end of the day about the level of service that they were provided, whether or not it was you specifically doing it or someone else who has been trained to do it at a high enough level or an elite level that is up to your standards. That's what expansion really is, right? It is, look, for some reason, it seems taboo. We used to use the McDonald's analogy, but I don't know why. Maybe because this food is just so shitty, it doesn't seem good.
Somebody made up some videos on YouTube that their food was pink slime, and everybody was like, "Fuck McDonald's."
Yeah. So what I mean to say is, you get the same steak at every Capital Grill you go to. Is that better?
I like that Capital Grill.
Whether it's Vegas, Plano, whatever, right? That's what expansion is, right? We share resources, we still intellectual resources, right? Actual physical resources, human capital. We cut costs by having a enterprise level resources for pretty much everything, right? And I will tell you right now, from a personal standpoint, I wouldn't be half of the leader that I am today, which still probably isn't that great, right? If it wasn't for the pool of resources and other minds, which I kind of call our thought collective now, that have helped bring me on this personal journey and Kelderman on this personal journey, that have quite frankly turned us into starkly different people than we were when we started this business together 2 years ago. I will tell you right now, fundamentally, all of those things in the expansion world that we have been, subjected to and exposed to, they've changed who we are as human beings. And in the process, we're going to sell a little bit more than $100 million in real estate this year along the way. And that really would never have happened if we didn't have what the expansion world offers us, and that is essentially vertical integration in a lot of the parts of our business, right? Not just not just that, but the sharing of resources to provide elite level service in a systematic fashion.
And let's not forget the fact too that all of the innovation comes from the people behind the scenes, right? Like, I've now been a part of our little group of three long enough to listen to you guys talk about things, and so many things have been added to the business and developed. I love that we call this a thought collective now, because I'm really glomming onto that phrase. I think it's just the perfect way to describe it. I've always struggled when talking to potential agents to describe the inherent value that you have in just being in a room or being able to reach out to somebody to get an answer, not to a fucking broker question, right? To something that matters. Right? Yes. To something that moves your business forward, to something that allows you to close business and grow at the same time. And those opportunities are exponentially increased. And I think not even from an agent perspective, I think that what it allows us to do for our clients is put every single person in the exact right spot. And if you're a real estate agent who's convinced that you're the only one who can do stuff, which I think as team leaders, we hear all the time, is like, I'm the only one who can do this, or I'm the only one who can do that. Just when you're around a lot of people who function at a super high level, you realize very, very quickly that there's probably a couple of things you do amazing, and there's a lot of other things that you should hand off. And overall, that allows your business to grow so much faster.
I'll give you an example, right? This is just like, you want to talk tangible stuff, because I hate this pie in the sky type thing, but tangible stuff, right? A lot of what we do right now we do a million things for lead generation, right? But let's just use an example. Text message automation, right? You do a lot of text message, mass text, message automation, helps provoke conversations, helps get us further down the rabbit hole. If I'm an individual agent, right?
We had a $1.2 million deal closed last week off text message automation.
Last Wednesday.
There you go.
Yeah. I'm an individual agent and I'm going, hey, I want to do, I want to layer my circle prospecting with text messages, right? So I'm going to prospect. I'm also going to layer with text messages. How do I know the keywords, the key phrases, the things to say to craft the perfect message that's going to provoke responses? Well, there's a couple ways you can do it, right? One, you got to figure out how to get the data, and that's relatively expensive on a individual scale. It's super cheap on when you have economies of scale and you're using that same data source for 400 people all across the country, right? Two, the people that use it all across the country share resources, the human capital that actually pulls the lists for everybody and puts it into your CRM, all that type of stuff, sets it all up, blah, 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 whatever, right? And if I was to get over those first two, barriers, no problem. It's just writing a check and having it done is no problem. Now I'm going, how do I figure out how to get the best responses to provoke the best conversations to get me essentially more clients, more closings, right? Well, you can do a number of things. You can start split testing, right? And how many different messages are you going to split test at a time? 1, 2, 3. Why don't you try 400? Yeah. Because when you have those economies of scale, now you have a thought collective that is trying different things every single day across the country with a feedback loop that is endless around what is working and what's not. And when you start to pinpoint the things that are working and providing better results, then they become basically your SOPs, right? Your standard operating procedures. And that's really all you do with expansion outside of everything else that when we talk about resource wise, it is just creating a larger feedback loop of what's working and then expanding that on a massive scale against a larger platform, right? That's the real, outside of everything else, it being more efficient, it being, more profitable, all those things, your ability to figure out. We talk about this all the time. What's the main question people ask when they run into another real estate agent who's doing well? Like, oh, what are you doing? Where are your leads coming from?
Yeah, what's the best lead sources?
What's the best lead source? We run huge teams. We still ask that shit all the time, right? This is what you want to know. Imagine having a thought collective that has the resources to go and figure that out on a massive scale all day, every day.
So I think I want to hammer that point, right? The other stuff is I think that's too granular for people to understand, right? Because they don't get it. It's kind of like people can't visualize how much, they can't visualize making $1 million if they don't truly believe they're going to make $1 million, right? So, but that thought collective, I've seen it firsthand through you guys, like, with what y'all have built would not have been done if it wasn't part of the her platform that you guys are on. It just wouldn't. It would not have
150%.
Yes.
Dude, yeah.
Yes, and so that number one is and let's take it back to that how I built this podcast. Expedia was built. Rich Barton and his team had Bill Gates did a what do they call it? Like, let's call it a thought collective. I can't remember what they
did. I can't. They used a different word.
Every year they go in front and pitch potential ideas to Bill Gates at that time. And Expedia was one of the ideas being pitched and it took off, right? And so the thought collective within a platform, whether it is the Hergenrother platform, Place platform, what are some of the other big ones out there? I don't even know anymore.
Well, I'll tell you right now, looking back 12 months from now, there'll be a bunch of them competing, right? Because that's where the industry's headed. But those are the two, Places is one of the bigger, names in the game right now. The industry is going to be changing, though. You're going to have the idea. You're going to know what a platform is here in the next 3 months, industry wide.
For sure.
Everybody.
For sure. And so from that's you bouncing off ideas and then being able to maybe even have some people hold you accountable to implementation or helping you with implementation or helping you find people that can implement. Because look, most real estate agents are dreamers, right? We're great at dreaming up the ideas, but we suck at implementation. By the way, I am one of those people. I have a lot of ideas. I suck at times at the implementation part of it. And so platform number one is platform. You will see more of that. You will hear more about that. And you will see more. You'll be shocked at seeing, the type of businesses that will be joining platforms in the future.
Well,
right?
I think that's where you start to get into the little bit of the I think that's where you start to get into a little bit of the arms race with like the Zillows and things like that. So this is obviously just my personal feelings, but I've listened to enough and read enough and gotten deep enough down some of these rabbit holes that the threat that Zillow poses to the real estate industry doesn't have to do with Zestimates or big data or anything like that. Zillow is probably not going to build a mousetrap that makes them cheaper to sell your home at a higher price than a real estate agent will. But what they can do, and this is where a lot of platforms are headed, is the vertical integration side. Open Door is doing that right now relatively well. Their model is completely different as far as what their service is that they're offering. They're another, you could call them a platform, right? But what Zillow is going to be attempting to do is the vertical integration aspect. That is title, that is mortgage, that is insurance, that is inspections, that is essentially creating a one-stop shop, right, for all of your home buying needs. And I know this is going to kind of hurt a little bit for people in this industry to hear. Why shouldn't it be that way?
I completely agree. And to act like we haven't been seeing the edges of this for a long time is ridiculous. Builders have been pushing their lender and their title company on people.
And they fucking already do it.
I've been in real estate, right? Like this isn't. We attach it to Zillow because that's the easiest person in the room to bitch, and it's easy to say, "Well, I can't compete with Zillow."
Yeah,
so
I'm just
going to lay down, right? Like. And I think that's where just the human nature of this comes in, and to take it back, why it's amazing to surround yourself with the right people, whether it's through teams or through mentorship or whatever, is that idea, that sharing of ideas is exactly what gets you through the mindset of, well, I don't know what to do about Zillow, so I might as well just sit here and grind it out with my database and, do some half-ass pop buys every year and then be like, oh no, why nobody calls me, right? Like it's just easier to do it that way for some people mentally, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And so, so let's see where the next 12 months takes us. And
sure,
you'll hear it more and more where, I've looked, by the way, I did do some research on this topic, right? So, where I'm Googling and I'm going down podcasts and YouTube channels to see, there's not many, if any, that I could find that's talking about platforms. So you're hearing that here first when it comes to what's coming on in the next 3, 6, 12 months. So come back to episode 113 and that you can see how forward thinking that we are with this. So number 2, though, yes, we called it, right? We're calling the shot, Babe Ruth it. But number 2 is building a niche business.
I love
it. There's niches in the riches. As Dan Kennedy, a lot of Dan Kennedy books would
other
be.
way around.
Riches in the
niches.
Riches in the niches. Riches in the niches. Dyslexic today.
This goes back to the travel agent thing, which I love this example.
Yes, I thought you were going to keep going.
I did
no,
too.
I wasn't. One of the rare times I was going to let somebody else talk.
Example, bro.
Yes, but so let's we had Nicole Espinoza on our show, right? The short.
This was the first time I heard "Riches in the Niches" in my life.
Riches in the Niches, right? Yep. And Nicole Espinoza, the short sale queen, who by the way, named her Facebook group the only short sale group worth being a part of. That came up as our idea on the show. That was our idea on the show.
It was. Did we give her that idea?
We did.
Oh, well.
I didn't think we could tell her to take it. We were just saying you should name it something like maybe the only short sale.
We're like giving you like a general suggestion.
Yes, right. But, I will tell you that Nicole's not worried about Zillow getting into the short sale business.
No.
Right. If you're in the luxury sales, if you are known directly as the go-to luxury person in your marketplace, Zillow's not as big of a threat.
Yeah, I don't really think that works for their purposes. And now luxury is defined differently in every market, but I don't think that that's the demographic they're really going to capitalize on.
Luxury is more defined by a percentage of the price point of the sales, which that number stays the same. And Zillow just wants to stay in that big meaty chunk where they got a lot less chance of missing the bullseye.
It's the top 10%.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
Yep, absolutely. And so if you could find the niche that you wanted to go down, and that could be maybe Matt wanted to become the mobile home king, Right?
I do.
I mean, he just shops at Nordstrom, by the way.
I do.
You know what's crazy?
He just throws that out there like I'm some fancy bitch who goes to Nordstrom all the time. I haven't bought clothes in 3 years. I dress like a kindergartner. And I went on Facebook like a month ago and I was trying to find somebody to help me figure out how to not look like that anymore. And so finally, like everything in my life, someone just took the reins, scheduled the appointment with, here's how ridiculous this is. I didn't even schedule the appointment. I had somebody else legitimately scheduled the appointment. I showed up for it. Someone else dressed me. All I did was bring a credit card.
Did you go? Here's the question I want to know: who took the photo of you walking with all the bags? If you went,
dude, you gotta have my person following me around to make sure they catch stuff for the soch.
I do think that we have a new nickname for Matt though. Now I think we just call him Fancy Bitch.
Just Fancy Bitch.
I love Fancy
I'll take
Bitch.
it. There was a time when this group started and I changed my name to Matt MFer Kelderman.
That is right. Was that
about 36 hours before I thought I might lose business?
Was that a bet or a dare or something?
It was something to do. You guys said if something happened on the show, like we told everybody if they do something for the show, then I would do it.
That's right.
And they did it in like an hour.
And it was supposed to be Matt motherfucking Kelderman.
Dude, and I welched on that bet so hard.
We didn't really have the clout that we have.
No, dude. And I had some people
work,
pretty high up in my food chain. Again, from the Thought Collective, my coach from the experience team looked at me and she's like, you realize your niche is social media and you're just out there acting a straight ass.
Yeah.
So you should probably change your name back.
Yes.
Oh
but
my gosh.
I don't think if you were the known mobile home expert, right? And you know, I'm sure there's a lot of
That's how we got off on this.
Palm Harbor Homes.
Okay.
You know, they're sales reps, even though they're not realtors, they do really well. In fact,
here's the deal. Like mobile homes is only one of many examples, just because that's almost sounds like
that's an extreme.
Well, I would venture to say that first time home buyers is always going to be a niche for real estate agents in a huge way, right? The reality is, like, you just look when you're like kind of imagine being a parent, right? And I'm not, so I'm going to speak like
Ryan has to imagine, but Nick
let me give you some parent advice, right? When you're,
it should be a doozy,
right? When your kid is a baby, if he even looks like he might be sick, you just go into the emergency room.
Oh, like Brian knows that to be true because I have like $5,000 worth of like the Preston Hollow emergency room where you walk right in.
Yes, right.
Like every time Luke would have the sniffles, I was like, "We gotta go."
100%, right? And when that kid turns 15, you're like, you're going to school. I don't care if your arm is broken. Like, you don't give a shit anymore. It's the same thing, right? When you buy your 10th house, you're probably in a demographic where you don't feel maybe that same tug anymore. First-time home buyers are babies when it comes to home buying. That's why I think that's probably a very strong niche. It's one of many, again, but I just use that example because I think it feels really, really clean. Like, that's always going to be a niche that's better served by face-to-face interaction.
Well, and I think if you were to use maybe within that first-time home buyer niche, let's say that your entire business model was built around home buying seminars.
Sure.
And you ran 2 home buying seminars a month, and that's all you did. And the rest of that time was designed to get people to show up. I would guarantee you that you would, in 12 months' time, that you would probably have a pretty decently sized business that you weren't 100% worried. You're not worried about Zillow all that much. You may have, there may be some residual fallout just because there may be people that escape, that go to a home buying seminar, they're on Zillow, and they just so happen to click on a house and they went to go see it using, as Rich said in that podcast, using a Zillow app to open the door.
Yeah.
And they just went under contract, right?
Yeah.
But that happens even today. Like, how many times have you been following up even with a client that potential client that you thought you had it on lockdown, and then you call them and they're like, "I'm so sorry, Nick. I somehow stumbled into a new build community and the sales rep got me to sign a contract without even knowing it, but I'm under contract with a new build. I'm so excited."
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Absolutely. Right.
Can we offshoot this app question real quick though? As real estate agents, anybody watching, like if you chime in with this, have you, like, I've just refused to download the Open Door app, and I go through the ridiculous pain in the ass process of having to like call and like wait for a person just because I'm not going to give them the clout of my app download. so I make my life so much more difficult.
Yeah.
So true.
Go listen to that other podcast. You'll probably just cave in. You're like,
Yeah,
you know what?
it's stupid
Look,
at this point. Like, what am I trying to
We've
stop?
we've lost that war. Now
100%.
it's time. Yeah, now it's time to find how do you play within the rules that are being written right now, and be able to keep your piece of the pie. And they're still, look, they're not going to get everyone right.
Well, I mean, it's so hard to do this virtually because they can't find the space where
they can't see us. We're all sitting around. This is why when we did this on Be Live a few years ago,
I'm interrupting more than usual. I don't mean to.
But no, that's amazing.
I love the home buyer seminar example, right? Because you made it so simple, right? If you did home buyer seminars and then when you weren't working with clients, your entire day was dedicated to getting people to your next seminar, like, bro, Mariano Rivera had one pitch and you knew what it was and you still weren't hitting it.
Couldn't hit
You know what I mean? So like, I think we tend to get in our own ways sometimes. If we're talking about being a niche business, which is nothing wrong with that at all, getting that mastery around one thing is actually quite valuable.
I used to be the most scattershooting son of a bitch you've ever met in your business, right? It was just, it did not matter where it came from. And that part of that's when you're always scrounging for business. You'll take whatever too, right? Like those first couple of years. And this is, I should stop what I was about to say and say, I was never scrounging for business because the clients I had were lovely. I had zero plan of where my business was going and how I was going to attack it. I was just taking whatever I could find and doing my best with it, right?
You had zero plan for your day.
Yeah, I had no plan for anything. And I will tell you now, my business looks completely different. It's dialed in. It's about 3 lead sources. I know what those are. I know how to attack them really efficiently, right? Like that type of stuff changes. So when you talk about like riches being in the niches, those things can reveal themselves to you over time as well. Yeah. You may not know what they are at first. We have a newer agent on the team who I got to have a conversation with yesterday. And she and I were talking about, she's like, I just feel like I'm doing all kinds of stuff and I'm not really sure what's effective and what's not effective. And I said, a little bit of that is you just don't have any clue where your lane is.
It's just going to feel like that in the beginning for a little bit.
Yeah. So don't feel like this is something you have to come into with an understanding. But I will also say there are a few agents on our team that have unreal game plans and they have been executing on them and sticking with the plan. And they are easily the ones showing the quickest return on investment on their time.
Sure.
Right. Because they went into it fully understanding exactly what price point they were going to attack, whatever the plan was, they're executing on it. And I think that's the key thing to take away if you're going to kind of try and hyper focus your business in a couple of different lanes.
Yeah, for sure. And so, that is, the finding a niche. And that's hard unless you again, even Nicole didn't know. Nicole Spinoza didn't have her short sale.
Did she kind of admit she like tripped and fell into it a little bit? Yeah. I mean, at the beginning part, she obviously busted ass once she got there, but at first she was like, this wasn't what I was doing.
And by the way, like, she doesn't have the short sale on lockdown. She does pretty well, but
nobody has anything on lockdown. Here's the other thing. Like, let's just reverse this because nobody has anything on lockdown. Nobody has a neighborhood on lockdown. Nobody has a niche on lockdown. Nobody has, even down to an individual piece of business, unless they have a signed agreement, like all of that stuff is just still so available. And we tell ourselves all the time that the business isn't available, or I can't go get it, or that person, of course they get a lot of business from social media. They've been really active on it for 2 or 3 years. Exactly. And all of that shit started on a Monday.
Yeah.
Yep.
All of that just started on a day where I started doing a thing. It's going to the gym, right? And eating right. Whatever dumbass, like cliched analogy.
That would be like saying like that person's in shape. So I'm fat. I should just keep eating shit because that person doesn't even make fucking sense.
It's stupid. And look, if you glom onto that, I'm just going to say that's faulty wiring in your thinking, and that's okay because I've got a lot of misrepresented or a lot of misattached wires. I'm also saying like just acknowledge the fact that your thinking is faulty, and every time you give yourself that excuse, try 1 out of 10 times to not sit in it and do something different, and that's how you'll change a habit over time, right?
100%.
I don't know where that came from.
No. It's like, what is that? What's that movie with Will Ferrell? He's like, I just blacked out. What happened?
Old school.
Oh yeah, old school.
A lot of them.
Yes. And look, last, so like riches in the niches. So finding your niche. The first one is the platform model, and last is becoming that community expert, right? That go-to community celebrity, which could be a niche in itself, but that could be from starting a podcast just like this.
Sure.
And, living in Dallas.
Sure.
I know some guys that started a YouTube channel 6 months ago. Actually, it started at the end of December.
Sure.
And they're new agents, and I think they have close to 3,000 subscribers on YouTube channel. And they started, they're getting, I think they've done like 24 deals from YouTube already.
Wow.
It's 7-8 months or 7 months.
This is the one that I think is the most actionable for agents at any level, right? Because if you really think about what this entails, you can do this relatively affordably, right? You can do dog events.
Yeah.
You can do all kinds of stuff. You can take advantage of parks, right? Like I'll beat the dead horse of your sponsors. If you're doing any amount of business, you should have somebody who is chipping in $100, $150,
Yeah.
right? Anything to offset some of the cost of this stuff. And then it's as simple as getting people to sign up and then following up with them with content that's relevant to the event or the thing that they came to and building a relationship through that. You can do a lot of this community type of thing just by being willing to do some work and put sweat equity into your business, right? Being willing to go door knock, being willing to spend $150 a month on Kohl's to pull random lists in neighborhoods that you don't even sell in.
Yeah.
But you saw a story in that neighborhood that looked really awesome, and you know that that agent ain't going to do anything with that story. So you go into, you don't tell people you sold the house, but you tell the story of the house being sold.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Nobody, you can do that all day long. You can do all of these things with very little money. And use time. I used to tell agents when I would train new agents this, and I think it's probably why I don't train new agents anymore. But I would tell them, I'd say, look, I just want you to understand the fact that like your mother really, really loves you, and she probably wants to spend a ton of time with you. The rest of the world doesn't give two shits about you from a time perspective. Your biggest asset as a new agent is the amount of free time that you should have to devote on your business. And if you're not spending that time understanding your market better, getting deeper ingrained in your community, understanding the areas that you want to work, door knocking, doing things that are affordable. And look, I'm surprised our viewers didn't drop when I started talking about door knocking, because people just will automatically reject that. But the reality is, if you want to be the community expert, you want to take over a neighborhood, it starts with doing stuff like that. And then when you get a couple of closings in there, then you dump $2,000 into the mailer campaign. Yep. Then you do whatever else it is. But use your own sweat equity up front to build some kind of clout in whatever you're trying to do.
And you can do that with, like, let's say that you're going to do the sweat equity, and let's say that, all right, look, I like that idea. I'm not door knocking. I'll tell you right now, I'm not door knocking. I'm going to find a different alternative solution, right? Cool. So it would be, all right, I'm going to go and highlight every business in the neighborhood that I want to work or
I know an agent who might close $30 million a year off that exact idea.
Yep. Murders.
Yes. And guess what? You go interview them. You use your iPhone, maybe get 2 lapel mics, and then you put it up on your channel and you tell that business owner to share it out and to email it out, because you're going to download it, right, and send it out to them. And then from there, you build a Facebook community group, right? Like I live in McKinney. There's a McKinney Cares group that is so active, and I think it's run by a real estate agent. Yeah. And so you do something like that, become that go-to local celebrity agent who maybe it's interviewing the politicians. It's, doing not just interviewing the businesses, but once you get some money, or you get, like Matt said, you get some sponsors and vendors to chip in. By the way, July 18th, we're recording this today. It's live, but if you're listening to replay, today is July 14th. July 18th is National Ice Cream Day. I don't know if you knew that or not.
Perfect one. Yep.
So we are celebrating National Ice Cream Day by having we have the Ben & Jerry's ice cream truck coming to our office in Plano, right? And we sent that email out inviting everyone out there. And we have had, let's see here, 125 people RSVP so far. And then we have a Kona, for people who don't eat ice cream, we also have the Kona Ice snow cone truck out there.
Dude,
that's a solid one, bro.
So easy. God.
So, somebody write that down for us to steal for next year.
Right?
We'll steal it. Guess what? Because I stole it from someone else.
Yeah, of course. We got to find out whatever next bullshit national holiday is to capitalize on.
The National
Taco Day.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, National Day is like nationaldaycalendar.com. So today is July 14th. Let's see if I can find it.
Is there a committee that decides these days? Who comes up with these?
So today, let's look at today. Let's see if I can find it real quick without boring everyone. So today is...
Justin's doing it too. So here we go.
It's taking too long.
Just click today, bro.
Do today. So today is... Oh, it's a list of national todays. Okay. Damn. That they really monetize this website with ads.
It really
Yeah.
is.
Now we got
I
pop-ups
can't
and
find it.
everything. This is
I don't even know what it is.
I think you got to click
Up
on
the
that
red,
thing.
up on the red.
Yeah,
Is that
today.
what you hit?
Year at a glance. Do the year at a glance.
Wait, no, July 14th, right there. National Mac and Cheese Day
Today-
and National Grand Marnier Day.
Today's National Grand Marnier. We could have been having top shelf margaritas
you
all
wanna-
day.
If you want to hear something stupid, and if anybody I know from this time in my life is listening right now, which is a very, very low probability of happening, we used to think it was really dope to go into Kenny's Wood Fire Grill over in Addison when that first opened, and all the bartenders and people from like all the restaurants that worked around there would go over to Kenny's Wood Fire Grill and drink after hours. And me and a couple other dudes, every time we would take shots of Grand Marnier, like take shots of warm grandma,
So gross.
and make me sneeze every time.
So gross.
It's
By the-
trash.
by the
I
way-
hate today.
So today, yes. So National Grand Marnier Day, National Tape Measure Day,
National Tape Measure Day.
National Mac and Cheese Day, and then I don't know. You could throw an event around this, just depending if you want to do it. It's National Nude Day.
Nice.
Oh, okay, do you think?
Nice.
So if maybe you have a nudist colony around you, I think I saw there was an agent that was doing that in Florida. She was doing that bit.
The nudist colony bit?
Yep.
I don't get it. Nobody shows up to those things who needs to. It's just not nobody. The naked in public bit is not done by the people who should be naked in public. So
Do you
I'm
think
out on it
the
every time.
nudist realtor bit or the ghost realtor bit is a better niche?
Don't even get me off on ghosts because they don't exist. I'm not going to start this
I was just trying to draw that off sides.
Tomorrow is National Give Something Away Day. National Tapioca Pudding
I've got
Day.
a 100-gallon fish tank in my house that I would like to give away tomorrow if anyone wants to come pick that shit up.
Dude, this is every day. There's a
National Gummy Worm Day.
Yes. It's
And
every day.
National Get to Know Your Customers Day.
Okay.
Oh, fucking A.
That's a great one.
Yes.
Is that tomorrow?
That's tomorrow.
Oh, shit. I don't have time to do it.
I don't think there's enough time. National Cheer Up. National Cheer Up the Lonely Day is July 11th. Some of these are bad. I don't like these.
If you're one of my clients and you get a text message tomorrow, what did you say tomorrow was? National what?
Uh,
National Know Your Customers Day.
Get to Know Your Customers
If you're a
Day.
client of mine, you're watching this and you just get a bulk text tomorrow at some point that just says, "Hey, tell me one thing about yourself that nobody knows." Just understand, I'm just trying to stick with my holiday theme.
National Lottery Day. We could have bought 1,000 lottery tickets, and you just got to
National
show up to the
Personal
office and
Chef
get
Day.
one.
If I had
Yes.
a personal chef, I would give them a gift.
So here's the thing.
I'm down on National Corn Fritters Day.
See, but look how fun it is, right? So you
It
get
is,
to
yeah.
you get to go around this and then make it community based.
Jessica's
Yeah.
put me straight up on camera
Yeah,
drinking
sure
a blackberry freaking claw.
That's all right.
The Blackberry
When's National
Oh,
White
if you've been
Claw Day?
watching the show for 5 minutes,
Yeah.
you know exactly what this
God,
is about. So
I
don't
felt
act like
I
you're
felt
new
like I
here.
got so good at hiding it there for a bit.
Nah.
No, I disagree.
I have 2 White Claws on a Wednesday. It's fine.
It's fine.
I weigh 215 pounds.
That's true. He weighed himself at the gym today while we were there.
National White Claw Day
It's actually
is
203.
Oh shit! There's a National White Claw Day.
it's Cinco de Mayo.
No
What?
way.
Come on.
What a
Who decided that?
stupid.
That is
Stupid.
that is like shooting a BB gun at a freight train. You ain't taking over Cinco de Mayo.
Brian, he's got me up. I'm trying to tell him put all 3 of us up.
Yeah.
Trying to see if we can get all 3 of
Get
us on
the
screen.
squad.
Or we're doing it. Yeah, it's dead skis. Damn.
Yeah,
It's
now-
dead.
It's dead.
Oh,
The battery doesn't
So
make it.
here's the thing: become the local celebrity
Yes.
in your
Yes.
community, right? So you do that by just throwing events, right? You do that by putting out content that your community wants. What are the top 5? Look, Brian talked about, being an imaginary parent. What is an imaginary parent, or what do real parents want when their kids are about to enter school? Well, what
Sure.
are the top schools, maybe public, private, and what's the other one? My mom is a superintendent.
Montessori.
No, Jesse. What's the other one that's kind of public but not public?
Charter school.
Charter school.
Charter school.
There you go.
Yeah, I should know that. My mom is a superintendent of a charter school district. So
Well, and here's the other thing too, to talk about those community events. It doesn't necessarily, don't think about this just as an actual neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
Like we talked about the dog stuff, but this could go to, it could be a charitable thing. Every year I miss the boat. There's 2 things I want to do every year. And I want to give away bikes and I want to give away backpacks to kids. And I've heard of agents who do that. It's amazing. It helps everybody involved, right? Including the person who's giving. So I always love that. And I always miss the boat every year because I don't start thinking about it until, right now in July, and
This-
the backpack things would still be amazing. Probably.
Well, put it in your
This
calendar.
goes back to the platforms conversation.
Yes.
Matt doesn't
Yes.
realize we're doing a backpack drive already.
See, and
Sorry,
there you
taken care
go.
of.
Backpack drive done.
Yeah, Kristen's handling
Yes.
it.
By the way,
See how-
tomorrow
We're donating to
tomorrow
Hope
is
Supply
National-
Co. again.
it's National Giveaway Day, so you could give that away too. Like
That would be
put it
great.
down
That's
for
when we
next
should
year.
blast it out. Kristen, hurry up. But actually, that's actually kind of freaking perfect. I am the director of sales and an agent on this team. There are quite a few of these types of things that are not in my lane, nor should they be, that I want nothing to do with. And I am so out of the loop that literally the thing I want to do is already happening. And I'm going to be able to benefit from it from a clout standpoint and from my, from all of those types of things. And it's being taken care of by back end systems. It's one of a million things that happens in my day that I have no clue goes on that ultimately moves my business forward, even on days when I'm not putting action into it.
Yep.
Absolutely. Well, and to celebrate tomorrow, the National Get to Know Your Customers Day. Right?
I do.
You need to get to know Justin Nelson over at Sphere Rocket VA. Go to sphererocketva.com, as well as go talk to and the camera going straight on Kelderman there. But
I'm used to it now. That's why
Yeah.
I keep smiling. I'm just like cheesing it up over here.
and get to know Michael DeBacker, right? The best loan officer. We voted him the best loan officer.
Voted by us three.
He's a nice guy, and he likes to wear hats.
Yes,
He
he
does.
does
Every
like
time
to wear hats.
every time I see old Mr. DeBacker, he's wearing a hat.
Yes. And so you can go and get to know Michael DeBacker with USA Mortgage over at mortgagemikeoftexas.com. And so just tell him, look, tomorrow's National Get to Know Your Customer Day, and we sent you over there.
We need to find somebody to write a jingle. I don't know why, but mortgagemikesoftexas.com just sounds like the most radioable. Is that, yeah? Radioable type of thing. That we hear, like every time I hear that, I'm just like, I don't know what it'd be. Like mortgagemikeoftexas.com.
We
You
could
just wrote it. That's perfect.
There we go.
That's-
Jingle.
actually, I think there's a
Caught
guy.
lightning pretty fast there.
There's a guy I followed. Actually, we should do a rap one.
A rap one?
Yes.
Dude.
Oh, God.
I can rap in my car with the music up super loud. And that is about the only time that I feel like I can rap for real.
We're getting to know Matt Kelderman.
Getting to know Matt Kelderman.
Oh my gosh.
Get a
I own four Wu-Tang shirts.
Right. 90s hip hop, and you got it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's pretty much
100%,
it. That's
dude.
pretty
All right,
much
guys.
it.
If you have not joined our Facebook group, the only real estate group worth being a part of, go over and do that right now, as well as my last shameless plug. I have to beat Coach Kyle Draper.
Agreed.
Right? So
Yeah.
get good real estate. Go over there. Just follow. I'm still learning the damn TikTok thing, but he challenged me to it. And I did tell him, I said, look, I'm not going to lose to you, Kyle. Right?
Dude.
We've got a better listener base with our show. And I said
Think
that
so.
we've got a better listener base with our show, better viewers. We've got a better loyalty of followers with this.
Yeah. We're the best
So-
fans in the world.
Nick needs to go
Yes.
put it in the group.
Yeah, I thought about that, but then maybe we'll do
Nick, sometimes our group is a total S show. I think you can go in there and be like, hey, Kyle Draper's been on the show 3 times. I want to kick his ass. Please go over to my TikTok.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll go do that, as well as we do need to talk about real quick, and we'll do a live later this week, Brian.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing and hosting a live event here in August, probably the first or second week of August. We're still planning out the details. There's been a lot of response in the only real estate group worth being a part of. Low Hornbuckle had put it out there that said, would you like to learn how Low, myself, my brother Austin, how we get to defer a lot of our taxes. In fact, we don't pay a lot of taxes just because of how we've set up our businesses and the investments in real estate. And so if you would like to be a part of that live event, you can come in. It'll be in Dallas. Somewhere around here. We're going to nail down a location. It will be a live show event as well, so you can tune in, to the show. But please make sure to comment or go join the group so that we can get a better head count. Right?
Yeah.
Lowe's doing this out of the goodness of his time, as well as the CPA. Maybe he gets some business out of it. Maybe he doesn't, but we're clients of his. So we will be putting that on the first or second week of August. We're still nailing down dates on that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Be a lot of fun, though. The last one was a lot of fun. This will be even better.
Yeah, probably less drinking in the beginning.
We'll see.
Challenge accepted.
All righty, guys.
Good show.
Everybody? We got it all in. That was good, man. We made it work, boys.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see your beautiful face again, Nicholas.
I'll be here next week. Or I'll be there next week. Or here,
Fantastic.
somewhere.
You can be somewhere. Not here, though. Jesse, make that happen. Thanks for watching the show today. Make sure if you're watching this on Facebook, you head over to our group, the only real estate group worth being a part of, so you can watch the extended conversation. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And if you listen on the Apple Podcast, leave us a review. We'd really like it. So just do it. Do it. Do that over there. Go to this one. Then go to that one. Thanks.